What time is it? Say it's time for KP's Video News. KP's Video News. It's KP's Video News, y'all. It's KP's Video News, y'all. That's right. Time for KP's Video News, y'all. And I was watching, like I always do. I always try to stay up with the latest news and keep up with it, because that's what I do. Anyway, I was watching this broadcast the other day. It might have been yesterday. Yep. Anyway, the DC DUNCE came on TV and stated out of his mouth, he was talking about wearing masks and all that stuff, and this clown had the audacity to say that, yeah, I put on a mask when they can only find just like one time that he's actually put on a mask, protection mask, when to go out in the public to help slow down the spread of the coronavirus. But then he made this statement: yeah, I wear a mask. I look like the Lone Ranger when I put a mask on. However, if this to let you know how stupid he is. Now he's talking about he looks like the Lone Ranger when he puts a mask on, but he don't even realize that the real true Lone Ranger was black. So he was black, and it was a man named Bass Reeves. When you look at the stories about the Lone Ranger, you're often told about a masked Caucasian cowboy who hung out with a Native American Indian named Tonto. In reality, the real Lone Ranger was formerly enslaved man Bass Reeves, who became the first black deputy U.S. Marshal west of the Mississippi River. So, yeah. So basically, Trump, you trying to tell me that when you put on a mask, all of a sudden you look like a black man named Bass Reeves? Yeah, I don't think so, pal. Anyway, so in the spirit of what I'm doing here, so now I'm gonna talk about, do a little history story on Bass Reeves. And Bass Reeves, he was born in July 1838, passed away January 12, 1910, was an American law enforcement officer. He was the first black deputy U.S. Marshal west of the Mississippi River. He worked mostly in the Arkansas and Oklahoma territory. During his long career, he was credited with arresting more than 3,000 felons. He shot and killed 14 people in self-defense. His early life, he was born into slavery in Crawford County, Arkansas in 1938. He was named after his grandfather, Bass Washington. Reeves and his family were enslaved by Arkansas State Legislature, William Reeves. When Bass was 8, William Reeves moved from Grayson County, Texas, near Sherman and Peters Colony. Bass Reeves may have been kept in bondage by William Steve's Reeves' son, Colonel George Reeves, who was a sheriff and legislator in Texas, and one time Speaker of the Texas House of Representatives until his death from rabies. When the American Civil War began, George Reeves, Bass enslaver, joined the Confederate Army, taking Bass with him. It's unclear how and exactly when Bass Reeves left his enslaver, but at some point during the Civil War, he gained his freedom. One account recalls how Bass Reeves and George Reeves had an altercation over a card game. Bass severely beat his enslaver and fled to the Indian Territory, where he lived among the Cherokee, Creeks, and the Seminole Indians. Bass stayed in the Indian Territories and learned that their languages and was freed by the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery in 1865. As a freed man, Reeves moved to Arkansas and farmed near Van Buren. And he married Nellie Jenny from Texas, with whom they had 11 children. Wow. Reeves and his family farmed until 1875 when Isaac Parker was appointed federal judge of the Indian Territory. Parker appointed James Fagan as the U.S. Marshal, directing him to hire 200 deputy U.S. Marshals. Fagan had heard about Reeves, who knew the Indian Territory and could speak several Indian languages. He recruited him as a deputy. Reeves was the first black deputy to serve west of the Mississippi. Reeves was assigned to the deputy U.S. Marshal for the Western District of Arkansas, which he had responsibility for also for the Indian Territory. He served there until 1893. That year, he transferred to the Eastern District of Texas in Paris, Texas for a short while. In 1897, he was transferred again, serving in the Muskogee Federal Court in the Indian Territory, and that's in Oklahoma. Reeves worked for 32 years as a federal peace officer in the Indian Territory and became one of Judge Parker's most valued deputies. Reeves brought in some of the most dangerous criminals of that time, but was never wounded, despite having his hat and belt shot off in separate occasions. In addition to being a marksman with a rifle and revolver, Reeves developed superior detective skills during his long career. When he retired in 1907, Reeves claimed to have arrested over 3,000 felons. Once he had to arrest his own son for murder. One of his sons, Benny Reeves, was charged with the murder of his wife. Deputy Marshal Reeves was disturbed and shaken by the incident, but allegedly demanded the responsibility of bringing Benny to justice. Benny was eventually tracked and captured, tried, and convicted. He served his time in Fort Leavenworth in Kansas before being released, and reportedly lived out the rest of his life as a responsible and model citizen. When Oklahoma became a state in 1907, Bass Reeves, then 68, became an officer of the Muskogee Police Department. He served for 2 years before he became ill and retired. And this is an amazing person, man. And historian Art Burton postulated that the theory that Bass Reeves may have served as an inspiration as a character for the Lone Ranger. And Burton makes his argument based on the sheer number of people Reeves arrested without taking any serious injury, coupled by the many of these arrested were incarcerated in the Detroit House of Correction, the same city where the Lone Ranger radio plays were broadcast. And so, you know, hey, now you know what the connection is. But Bass Reeves, the black cowboy from the 1800s, the real Lone Ranger. That's right, the real true Lone Ranger. So I'm telling you, boy, we got a long, rich history. A long, rich history. So I'm gonna hit you up with this feel-good story right here. And wow, it's a 9-year-old best-selling author and philanthropist. Debuts a new talk show. He's an author, a philanthropist, and he got his own talk show. 9 years old. My hero. Okay. Who says you can't be a kid and have your own talk show? No one does. That is why Atlanta native, 9-year-old best-selling author Nicholas Buama can now add talk show host to the list of things that he has accomplished at his young age. Raising Greatness with Nicholas Buama premiered on YouTube July 1st, 2020 at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with almost 11,000 subscribers on his channel. Nicholas will interview plethora of guests to find out what led them to their path of success. His guests will include some of the most amazing people from various walks of life. Celebrity chefs, journalists, Hollywood actors, comedians, producers, professional athletes, entrepreneurs, and more. Hey, it's an inspiration to me. At the age of 7, Nicholas wrote his first book, Kayla and Kyle, The Walking Dictionaries, Election Day. Not only is it an Amazon bestseller, but it's also been categorized in the Library of Congress. What is just as impressive is his mission to help kids in underprivileged communities around the world have access to reading materials through a nonprofit organization called Books Without Borders Incorporated. Nicholas has been featured in several online news outlets. He has also appeared on major television networks. His most notable appearance was when he was a guest on the Steve Harvey show. Anyway, yep, that's right, Nicholas. Do your thing, young brother. You are definitely an inspiration to me.